When wedding prepping, she found out her fiancé is cheating on her with her cousin. She destroys them. I used to believe in fairy tales. Not the ones with dragons or castles, but the kind where love felt like coming home. Warm, safe, unshakable. That's what I thought I had with Daniel. That's what I thought I had with my cousin, Celeste, and my Aunt Miriam. I trusted them the way a child trusts the sky to stay above them. But life has a cruel way of showing you that some things are illusions. My engagement to Daniel was supposed to be the beginning of my happily ever after. He was everything I thought I wanted: charming, handsome, successful. He made me feel seen in a way few ever had. Celeste had been my biggest cheerleader, squealing with delight when I showed her the ring. Aunt Miriam had pulled me into a warm hug and told me how proud she was of the woman I had become. Looking back, I realize now how well they played their roles. It started with small things. Daniel would cancel our date nights at the last minute. Celeste would dodge my calls. There was a lingering scent of perfume in his car that wasn't mine, a shade of lipstick on his collar that I never wore. But love makes you foolish. I told myself I was imagining things, that I was being paranoid. Then Celeste started planting seeds of doubt about getting a prenup. "Marriage is about trust," she had said, twirling a lock of her dark hair between her fingers. "If you ask Daniel for a prenup, you're basically telling him you expect things to go wrong." I had laughed then, brushing it off, but something about the way she looked at me made my stomach twist. A week later, I found out why. The walls of my world came crashing down in the most mundane way possible. A forgotten phone left on the kitchen counter. Daniel had gone to the gym, and I was making coffee when I saw the screen light up. My heart stopped at the name, Celeste. A message preview popped up.
"Can't wait to see you tonight."
"I miss you already." I stood frozen, my fingers gripping the edge of the counter. My stomach twisted into a tight knot as I unlocked his phone. The messages went back for months. "I love you. I'll make sure she signs nothing. We just have to wait until she turns 25. Your aunt said she'll keep pushing. She thinks she'll convince her soon. She's so clueless."
Poor thing.
My breath hitched. I scrolled further, nausea rising in my throat. My cousin, my fiancé, my aunt. Together, they had been plotting to bleed me dry of my inheritance, using my love and trust against me. I wanted to scream, to throw his phone against the wall and watch it shatter the way my heart just had. But I did nothing. I stood there, paralyzed, as the truth unraveled before me like a carefully constructed horror story. Then I made a decision. I wiped away my tears and put the phone back where I found it. I wasn't going to confront them. Not yet. I was going to play along. For days, I pretended everything was normal. I smiled, kissed Daniel, laughed at Celeste's jokes. I let Aunt Miriam brush my hair and tell me how beautiful I was, how lucky I was to have such a devoted family. Inside, I was drowning in my own rage. I bought tiny cameras and placed them strategically: our apartment, Celeste's bedroom, Aunt Miriam's study. I wanted proof. I wanted to hear them say it with their own mouths. And they did. Late at night, I sat on my laptop, my hands shaking as I watched the footage. Celeste lying in bed, tangled up with my fiancé, whispering about their plans. Aunt Miriam sipping her wine, laughing about how naive I was, how easy it had been to manipulate me. The final dagger came when Daniel chuckled and said, "Once the money's ours, I'm done playing nice." I turned off the laptop. I had all I needed. Now it was my turn to play the game. The next day, I called Daniel and told him I needed space. Space. He sounded annoyed. "What do you mean?" I need to figure out who I am before the wedding. I feel like I've lost myself." It was the perfect excuse. It gave me distance while keeping them from suspecting anything. Celeste called immediately after. "What's going on? Are you okay?" Her voice was so sweet, so concerned, I almost believed she cared. But I knew better now. "I'm fine," I lied. "I just need time." Daniel didn't take it as well. He showed up at my apartment later that night, pounding on the door. When I opened it, he was fuming. "This is about him, isn't it?" he spat. I blinked. "What?" "I know you're seeing someone else." Celeste told me she saw you with some guy.
I almost laughed.
The audacity of a cheating fiancé accusing me of infidelity was beyond absurd. I smiled instead, leaning against the doorway. I don't need to see anyone else to know what I deserve. His face darkened. You're making a mistake. No, I met his gaze, steel in my voice. The only mistake I made was trusting you. His nostrils flared, but before he could say anything, I leaned in close and whispered, "By the way, you should be more careful. Lipstick stains are hard to hide." I shut the door in his face. And for the first time in weeks, I smiled. The storm didn't hit immediately. For a day or two, it was eerily quiet. No calls, no texts. I could almost believe they were regrouping, strategizing their next move. Then it happened. My phone buzzed nonstop with messages. Friends, acquaintances, even people I barely knew, all asking if the rumors were true. Celeste had gone public. So had Daniel. According to them, I was the one who had cheated. Screenshots, carefully doctored, flooded social media. Stories of my supposed affair spread like wildfire. Daniel played the heartbroken fiancé, Celeste the devastated cousin. Aunt Miriam added fuel to the fire, painting me as an ungrateful wretch. And the world believed them. They thought they had won. They thought they had buried me under their lies, that I would break beneath the weight of their deception.
But they underestimated me.
I wasn't broken. I was waiting. I scrolled through the comments, some filled with sympathy for Daniel, others laced with venom toward me. She was always a bit selfish. I never liked her. Daniel deserved better. Each word should have hurt. Maybe weeks ago, they would have.
But now?
Now I just felt cold, calculating. I went back to my laptop, clicking through the footage I had gathered, my heartbeat steady. I wasn't going to defend myself with words. I was going to let their own voices destroy them. I started with a single clip, a recording from Celeste's bedroom. The one where she whispered into Daniel's ear, laughing about how easy it was to manipulate me. How stupid I was. I uploaded it at exactly midnight. No captions. No explanations. Just a 30-second clip of my beloved cousin and fiancé planning to rob me blind. I turned off my phone. By morning, the internet was on fire. When I woke up, my inbox was flooded. My social media notifications had exploded. Celeste and Daniel were scrambling. Celeste had deleted her public statements. Daniel had gone radio silent. But the damage was already done.
People weren't stupid.
They started piecing things together. The way Celeste had been overly involved in my relationship. The odd timing of their accusations. The sheer coincidence of everything. I wasn't done yet. I released another video. This one from Aunt Miriam's study. In it, she sat with Celeste and Daniel, sipping wine, discussing how they would split my inheritance. How I wasn't smart enough to fight back. How by the time I realized what was happening, it would be too late. Too late for them, maybe. The internet ate it up. The tide was turning. Influencers, bloggers, even news outlets started picking up the story. It wasn't just drama anymore. It was fraud. People who had once ridiculed me now turned on them.
Wow, this is sick.
She trusted them. Jail time incoming? Celeste tried to fight back, claiming the videos were edited. But there was too much. Too many recordings, too many receipts. They couldn't keep up with the wave of truth crashing down on them. Daniel showed up at my door. I opened it just enough to see his face. He looked wrecked, eyes bloodshot, jaw tight.
"We need to talk," he said.
I leaned against the frame, arms crossed. About what? How you and my cousin were plotting to ruin me. His jaw clenched. You made this public. You ruined my life. I laughed. Actually laughed. The audacity of this man. You ruined your own life, Daniel. I just let the world see what you really are. He exhaled sharply. Listen, I messed up, okay? But we can fix this. The internet moves on fast. If you say you faked those videos, we can still. I held up a hand. Stop. Just stop. I spent years thinking you were my future. Thinking I could trust my own family. My voice wavered, but I steadied it. And you took all of that and stomped on it like it was nothing. He swallowed.
I
don't care anymore. I said. I don't care about you, about Celeste, about any of this mess. I'm done. He took a step closer, but I shut the door in his face. By the end of the week, Celeste had deleted all her social media accounts. Daniel's job had fired him after his name became too toxic to be associated with. Aunt Miriam was being investigated for financial fraud.
Me?
I was free. I packed a bag and booked a ticket to Europe. Somewhere new. Somewhere fresh. Somewhere they wouldn't cast a shadow over me ever again. On the plane, I watched the clouds drift below, a weight I hadn't even realized I was carrying lifting from my chest. For the first time in forever, I felt light. A month later, I stood on a balcony overlooking the streets of Paris, a cup of coffee in my hands. I wasn't the same woman I had been before. I had been broken, but I had rebuilt myself. I had been betrayed, but I had found strength in that betrayal. I had been burned, but from the ashes, I had risen. And I had never felt more alive.